What if the one thing holding you back wasn't fear, but procrastination? I know I'm like that. I'm definitely in that. I'm sure you are too. There's loads of people who'll be able to connect with this. I sat down with an amazing person today called Tessa Jetson. She is the procrastinator buster, a woman who has turned her darkest struggles into unstoppable momentum. She was an entrepreneur so young. She left school in year 8. It's just amazing. Tessa has faced, though, through her young life, opening businesses at such a young age, starting a family at 18. She's faced toxic relationships. She's faced domestic violence and the challenges of single parenthood. But through resilience and the power of neuroscience, that's where we connect, as you can probably see with all the books behind me, she has not only rebuilt her life, but empowers others to do the same. So here in part 1, we dive deep into her unbelievable, harrowing journey, how she found herself trapped in a cycle of abuse, the moment she knew she had to escape, and the mindset shifts that changed everything. You know, this conversation, I feel, is raw, it's real, and it's absolutely necessary for anyone that's feeling stuck. So stay locked in, because this is the episode that could change your life. We'll be right back after the trailer. Enjoy the conversation with Tessa. Welcome to Leading Our Own Way. I'm your host, Andrew White, and this is the podcast that unveils captivating narratives of resilience and personal triumph. This podcast is for anyone seeking inspiration and insights on overcoming life's challenges. Follow and subscribe, and then we can lead together forever. Welcome, Tessa Jetson, to Leading Our Own Way. Such a pleasure to have you. I've been so excited to see you tonight. How are you?
Thank you so much, Andrew. I'm really excited to be here and looking forward to having a chat with you tonight.
Yeah, we recently met at a networking meeting in Melbourne. It was my first one ever, and I'm so glad I went now, because I was humming and ahhing about doing it, and I'm so glad because I got to meet you there.
That was so cool. There you go. Yeah, we just clicked straight away, and I'm glad you got to go that day.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was your first actually ever time. Have you been back? Did you go Friday?
I did go back on Friday, and I met a few more incredible people, and somebody who's going to help me create a program as well. Everyone's just so welcoming. It's amazing. I love it. Yeah. And I found out what you were doing. Obviously, I got your business card, which obviously it ties in perfect. You're on a bit of a mission. So tell us a little bit about your mission, and this will become very, very clear, and maybe the book will become very clear to me, to the audience too.
My mission is helping women. I help people, but my main passion has been helping women move forward from abuse. And that's a bit of my backstory. That's what we're here to talk about tonight. But I want to help. A lot of us go for adversity in life. A huge percentage of people go for adversity, but it doesn't have to define you. In actual fact, I've used my story to push me forward. And if I didn't go through what I went through, I wouldn't be the person I am today, which is a person who's so passionate about helping women be the best version of themselves. They can be a role model for their children. And so we can actually change the destiny. I know for a fact I've changed the destiny of my children and grandchildren because of what I did and how strong I was when I went through domestic violence. So that's my mission. My mission is to help women actually lead, just be a role model for their children, and not, you just see it, where the mothers let herself go and the kids suffer, and then they end up go into all these horrible relationships as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I normally start off the episode with, that's your mission, but I normally start off with how are you leading your own way? You've got many things that you do on a daily basis, which I would consider is your way of leading your own way. Can you go through, well, I suppose, how you lead your own way?
So everything I do is all around empowering others. So I run my programs. I have a charity, Tessa Jetson Foundation. So I run Restart Your Life retreats. So for women, also free courses, and we give out the book. And I'm on a mission actually to get into schools now. So and start educating young girls. That's all the charity stuff. We actually had a meeting last night. So there's a lot of work involved because I do have to do fundraisers and things like that to raise the money. I don't get a cent from the government. So everything I've done is just by beautiful businesses out there who help come to the fundraisers and donate money in churches and places like that, which has been really lovely. And I also am a coach, and I run my own programs, which is how I earn income, is helping people bust procrastination and bust habits things that I've gone through in my life, and I help people with that. I'm so passionate. And the funny thing is, well, it's not funny. The thing that I help the women with is exactly the same programs I help business people, coaches, my clients. I help the ladies from domestic violence I put them through the same programs. And that's why they have such transformation. So everything I'm about is, goal setting and, helping people reach their goals. That's what I live and breathe this stuff. If you've checked my page out, that's what I do 24/7.
Yeah, I remember when we did the pre-chat, tying into your I've been training myself how to say procrastinator as well. I've always struggled to say that word. I don't know why, but people go, you've got to train yourself. Anyway, your business, the Procrastinator Buster. I've got your card here, and you so live up to your word that much. When we did our pre-chat, you said about doing something with me and doing an event and so on. And you got your phone out and you pretty much did it. You have a rule around when you want to do something, you've got an idea. Tell us a little bit about your. Do you know which rule I'm referring to?
I've actually written an ebook about this, the 5-minute rule. So basically, if you have an idea and it can be done in less than 5 minutes or around 5 minutes, just get it done. Because what happens is the huge reason people procrastinate, they get overwhelmed. They've got so much going on in their life. Life's hectic. And procrastination, a major cause of it is anxiety, overwhelm, you're releasing cortisol. The more you procrastinate and you add another thing on the list and another thing on the list. So when you come up with something little, like I just said to you before we started, I've got to do a video, get my phone out and did it straight away because it took 2 minutes.
Yeah. It was beautiful, yeah.
And then what actually happens, once you get it done, you release dopamine. You actually feel great because you did it. But it's also another thing that's not going on the to-do list. That's why, just get the damn thing done. So I do a lot of voice messages during the day. If I have an idea, I think I've got to call this person, I've got to do that. So I'll do voice messages and just get it done. All through the day, I do that sort of stuff. So if you think of an idea, just get it done straight away or shoot someone a text. Say, hey, can I call you at 7:00 tonight? I've got to speak to you about something.
Yeah. It's amazing. I love that. And ever since we've did that pre-chat, anytime something comes up in my head about doing something or creating something, I've had you echo in my head 5 minutes. And honestly, have I been 100% from the line? No. But honestly, massively improved in when I want to do something. I just get it out. 5 minutes, I've got Tessa in my head.
How good does it feel, though? Like
it does.
Releasing dopamine every time. And a lot of people... The reason, they don't achieve their goals because they set them too big and they're overwhelmed. But by doing these little goals during the day, throughout the day, you're just feeling proud of yourself, releasing dopamine. And that's how I help my clients. And the ladies, especially that I help with domestic violence, it's so broken down, so depressed, so got nothing left in the tank, and then we start doing these little goals and we have these groups and we're like, well done, I'm so proud of you. And, we're just praising them. And the first time in years, some of them had compliments. Did you know for every negative compliment, every negative statement someone says to you, it takes 7 positives to override that?
Yes, I knew something along that line, yeah.
So that's why, we have these little groups and we're like, well done, good on you. So they do a post like, hey, guys, I drank a glass of water. And we're all like, well done, well done, well done. It's really cool.
It's interesting, isn't it? People, I was listening to a podcast the other day, and people do find it so much easier. I think it was Kevin Hart on Joe Rogan's episode, and they talk about it's just so easy to be negative, point out a negative in somebody. It's so much easier because it ultimately makes you feel better when you're putting somebody else down because you're automatically putting yourself above them in a way. I suppose it depends on your character, but I just love the sense of contribution. I think my whole mindset's changed around that. Not that I've ever put anybody down. I might have done accidentally, but certainly not intentionally. But it is bizarre, isn't it, that we prefer to go negative than we do the positive way, and it's about a mind shift, isn't it? How do people get to that point? And I suppose that's really what your journey in our podcast is going to be all about tonight, I guess. But before we get onto your book, Neuroscience, you've just mentioned quite a few catecholamines there, neurotransmitters, the sense of achievement, dopamine. We had that connection when we first met. We started talking about it. Where did the neuroscience interest come for you then?
Well, it's actually an amazing story because in 2019, I got approached by somebody who was developing a program around around neuroscience, a coaching certification, helping people become practitioners. And interesting, I was a leader in business. I've smashed so many awards and broke records in companies with this particular person. And so they reached out to me to say, hey, we're launching this new program and we'd love you to be the face of this program. And what they didn't know about me, though, interesting enough, is that I was, as well as being very successful, I was drinking heavily alcohol every night because I had some bad habits around alcohol. And I actually said, look, let me go through the program first. And the first version of the program is around habit change, the neuroscience with rewiring the brain around your habits. And especially because they showed me that version, I thought, well, I can't actually market something or help promote it if I'm actually drinking 2 bottles of wine a night. That's how I end up getting pretty bad with the wine towards the end. And so I said, let me go through the program. It changed my life. I started the program in January 2020. By March the 16th, I'd given up alcohol and completely changed my life. It was amazing timing because it was during COVID. And I lost 30 kilos during COVID. It was the happiest and most productive I've been in years because I learned about the brain, rewiring the brain. And I just started sharing my story during COVID and then turned that into a business. And started helping so many people give up alcohol, lose weight, become healthy. And yeah, so that's how I got into the whole, and then I've become obsessed since then on becoming a master trainer, putting it through every program I teach, including the women through domestic violence. It's the first thing I teach them about their brain, because you've gone through trauma, your brain, we get brain damage when we go through trauma. And a lot of people, they go to counseling, and it is healable. Our brain can heal, and you can rewire your brain through trauma instead of going to counseling for years. And every time you repeat the story over and over again, you're staying. That's why I don't believe in AA or any of those things anymore, because you're just repeating. Hi, my name's Tessa, I'm an alcoholic. Go to a counselor. Hi, here's my problems again. So when you can do the rewiring process by doing certain activities, which is doing new things and working on goals. That's why I'm obsessed with goals.
Yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it? Before I got into studying the brain and human physiology, the concept of repeating yourself and admitting that you have a problem actually made sense to me. Okay, you've got to, not that I haven't been an alcoholic. I've been addicted. I was probably more sugar. I was filling my gaps, my dopamine hit with eating chips and crisps and chocolate and bottles of Coke. I didn't refer to that, but some may say that's just as bad because it's the same addictive approach. It's the same dopamine release. It's the same stress levels in the body and so on. And, when I would deplete, you'd want more, and you need more the next week to get the same hit that you did the week before. And obviously it might damage in a different way. And mine did result in something quite heavy on my system. However, I forgot where I was going with that. So then when I started to touch on the brain, I started to receive the power in rewiring your brain. My first book was The Source. This one over here, Dr. Tara Swartz. I'm trying to get her on the podcast. She's the number one neuroscientist in the world. She's on the biggest podcast in the world. She's just absolutely fantastic. And when I learned about the neural pathways, when I learned about myelination, synapse connections, and embryonic brain cells popping and creating new pathways and stuff like that, through the art of learning, through the art of eating dark skin foods, through contribution, connection, and so on and so on and so on, I just fell in love with the brain. I absolutely did. And I realized repeating yourself in these courses, like you've just mentioned, is the most detrimental thing on the brain, because you are wiring yourself to continue to go down that path. No wonder if you come off being not touching alcohol for a year and then you touch it again, you're going to go back that way because you've just been training your brain to go that way. Whereas I've met quite a few people on the podcast that have recovered and can actually probably go and have a glass of wine, and they don't go down that rabbit hole because they've rewired their brain not to be like that. Does that make sense?
Oh, 100%. And the thing is, once I learn about this, it's because you're saying, like, hi, my name's Tessa, I'm an alcoholic. And especially, I am actually not in recovery. I was not actually an alcoholic. I created some bad habits because I went through extreme trauma. So then even after I become successful and moved on from that, it was just become a habit that I work really hard, then I walk in the door, grab a glass of wine. Like, how many people do you see in movies doing that? How many guys go to the pub after work? It's just a habit. Yeah. And then you connect those habits with your mates and your friends and all that sort of thing. So, and once I learned that, it's like, oh my God. So I just started doing other habits. So when I finish work, I would go for a 5 minute walk and just start disrupting the habits. But
Yes.
definitely the AA and all that. Look, absolutely, I'm not running it down because I know there's a lot of people, it's a great community for them
Mm.
and they've built some great friendships and they're great supports. I'm not running it down, but it is over 100 years old and they haven't learned about the brain. So what you and I have learned, it's all new research. It's new research over the last, you know,
10, 15 years, isn't it?
it's just only
Yeah.
the last 10 years. And some of the research that because I got trained by some of the top professors from universities around the world when I did my course. And a lot of the research is new research. So
Yeah.
we've seen it for the first time. They're not, and my goal, watch this space, my mission is I'm going to be going into rehabs. I've already got connections. I'm going to be going and share my story in rehabs. And just explain about the brain, not running their systems down, but they just do need to know that I'm not in recovery. I'm not an
Yeah.
alcoholic.
Yeah.
I've rewired my brain, like you said, and
Mm.
I choose not to drink. I'm not interested because I'm just not interested. I just love my life and
Yeah.
love my life today, and I love but absolutely, I'm back to the Tessa who was a ropes instructor from the age of 18 to the age of 30. I'm back to that person who was always slim, healthy, and had healthy habits.
Okay, well, on that note then, and I do want to touch on your book, but we'll do that later. I'll throw that towards the end. What was young Tessa like then, growing up?
Oh, it's so outgoing. I actually had, when I look back on it, because I'm in the process of selling my house and I've been going through so many memories. And also, when I wrote the book, I pulled out a lot of memories, but I was very outgoing. I got into always outgoing, and I started modeling actually when I was 8 or 9 years old. I was doing piano lessons, ballet, and then I got into, and bless my mum because she was a single mum. And when I look back, I think, how did you actually do that, mum? Like, dad was. We're always allowed to see dad. He lived in Queensland. We were in Melbourne, but he didn't financially support my mum. I know that for a fact. But mum, she always somehow made it happen for us, and that's how I end up being like her for my kids. But I started a job, and 18 years old, I got in, had a license, bought my own car, got my ropes instructor certificate, started running my own classes, hiring halls and running a business instead of just getting a job. Then I started acting, modeling. I was always outgoing, yeah, just from a young age. And I do believe, yeah, I don't like, just have always been that upbeat, outgoing sort of person. And my sister Debbie as well, she was the same.
Where did that come from? That hustle and bustle Tessa, this driven person, this little entrepreneur that's running around town doing all of these things you've just mentioned. Where did that come from? Where
Yeah. Do you
character
know why I
traits?
believe it? Because I do believe this is true because I look at, I look at kids and parents and because I also do some support work with mental health and my sons actually are builders and we talk about this a lot and, the patterns in some families, a cycle, one's not working, the dad's not working, the whole generation's not working and all that sort of thing. But because mum was upbeat and positive and I didn't have in the house stress, there was no violence or abuse, and I believe that's so important for children and it was just I could just be creative and ideas that I had, I wasn't ever stopped to my ideas or being told, why are you doing that? I mean, really, that has to, because kids are all fun, kids want to do these creative things, but a lot of kids are not given their don't be stupid or we don't have money or these sort of comments, these little comments come into it and then they just stop living their dreams. So that's I do believe, and I grew up in church and there's a lot of singing and we do acting and all that sort of stuff and just fun. I just had a loving home and being brought up with a single mum but still a loving home. And when I know now that mum did it tough, but we didn't know that. We didn't just go to Salvos and get our hampers and it was all fun and exciting and things like that. But yeah, just never being told you can't do it or it has to be, when I look back at it, because I've been thinking a lot about it, just having a happy childhood, a happy home and never being told, like when my creative would put on plays in the house and, dress up and do things and not being told, why are you doing that? Be quiet. That's stupid. You know, so I was just, and then obviously there's a lot of kids that probably were creative, but they got stopped from being creative.
Yeah.
Got to think about that because I was never stopped when I look and because actually, in fact, the photo that I looked up when I was 8, 9 years old, when I did my modelling course, I texted Mum the other day. I said, Mum, when did my sister Debbie, because she got she had Hodgkin's disease just not long before that photo. And I said, Mum, I'm confused. When did Debbie go to hospital and when did Dad leave us? Because then I saw this modeling photo of me, how I was able to Mum still let me proceed with all my dreams when in the midst of all this, Mum's having a breakdown and, Dad's left us. My sister got, she had Hodgkin's disease, just got diagnosed with it. And then just a few months, I looked at the date on my modeling certificate. I did my first, and I'm like, "Wow, you're amazing, Mum. You really are amazing." Like I don't recall that there's things happening, but she was able to somehow be tough, and she taught me that. And I just never had that draining childhood at all, ever. I don't recall it ever.
So with all that positivity, your mum was going through a bit of a tough time. Did it start from the split with your father? From your father?
What do you mean with me?
So your mum, well, how old was you when your mum and dad split up?
So we moved to Queensland when I was around 8 or 9, and we moved all the way to Queensland, and just with my sister and my brother, and to start a new life up in Queensland. And Mum was pregnant with my other sister Tracy, and then Mum finds out Dad's got someone else there who's pregnant as well with somebody, and it was just a disaster. And then we all come back to Melbourne, and then as soon as we got back to Melbourne, we'd lost the house that they bought in Brunswick. I took a video the other day in front of this house. I found it just recently, which they bought for $18,000, and it's now worth over $1 million.
Wow.
And we ended up growing up in Housing Commission because of that. And but again, Mum never talked about these things. I only investigated it later in life. I never heard her ever say, we should have had a house. Why didn't, she never talked like that. So we come back and went into my Nana's Housing Commission flat, then we got our own government housing. But my memories of that were like playing in the flats. We had heaps of friends. It wasn't nothing. When I look back on it, wasn't anything. I'm very grateful, very, very grateful that we had a housing commission, but I just never heard Mum say. She never said things like anything negative about my dad. That's one thing I've learnt, a lot, because over the years, obviously, I've dealt with a lot of ladies that have been through abuse. I've been through abuse, and a lot of them can get, it can get all toxic sometimes. When it's really, obviously, when your life's in danger, it's a whole different story. When Mum's wasn't, but it can just be all this toxicity with against the fathers and the mothers and all this sort of stuff, which is horrible for the children. Horrible, we just got to stop this for the children.
So did you embed that into your life as a mother then? The traits that your mother had, that positive approach, that not, bad-mouthing your dad to you guys. Is that something that you also did as a mother? Join us tomorrow to hear more from today's incredible guests and learn valuable insights to help you lead your own way. Don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you then.